Why are billionaire investors like Bill Gates and Richard Branson investing in Bitcoin? And how can you get in on it? Since 2008, Bitcoin has grown faster than any other currency on the planet, and people have made millions. But the biggest growth is going to happen over the next several years, making Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies one of the most exciting investment vehicles in the last few decades. And anyone can participate. As of the time this video is being made, one Bitcoin is worth about $1,200 US. Every day, as more and more people learn what Bitcoin is, what its benefits are, and most importantly, how easy it is to use, its value continues to grow. And when you combine the thousands of new people getting involved with Bitcoin every day, along with more and more companies accepting Bitcoin to purchase their products and services, along with the fact that there are a limited number of Bitcoin available, the basic rule of supply and demand is a big reason that it's going to climb even more. In fact, experts predict by the end of 2017, Bitcoin will be worth over $3,000. And many say it can realistically reach as high as $1 million or more per Bitcoin in the next 10 years. Tim Draper, founder DFJ Venture Capital Firm, says Bitcoin will be over $10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years. Jeremy Liu, the first investor in the multi-billion-dollar social app Snapchat, says Bitcoin could realistically be worth $500,000 by 2030. And Wences Casares, CEO of Bitcoin storage vault Zappos, says, in 10 years, Bitcoin will be worth between $500,000 and $1 million. It's not difficult to see why so many of the world's wealthiest entrepreneurs and investors are making Bitcoin a big part of their investment portfolios. But what many people don't realize is that anybody can participate, and you don't need millions or even thousands of dollars to do it. In fact, if you had just $100 worth of Bitcoin today, and Bitcoin went to $1 million, your $100 would be worth over $83,000. But none of that means anything if you don't know how to get started.
You remove the telephone jack and plug it into this box here, the modem. I then take another wire from the modem and plug it in where the telephone was. I can then switch on the modem. It's now telling me to phone up the main Pressel computer.
So it's a very simple connection to make.
Extremely simple. I'm now waiting for the computer to answer me. And
things are starting to happen.
Things are starting to happen.
Why did you buy a computer?
Well, I was very interested in the new technology and didn't want to be left behind. I don't think it's only for the youngsters at school now. I think us older ones will have to learn a lot about it.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big? How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
The world is in financial disarray. Currencies failing, economies in wild flux, jobs being lost. But what if you could build an entirely new economy, one specifically designed for the digital realm? Well, that is the dream behind Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, is an electronic online currency that was created in 2009. It was made by someone who did it under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto.
Like any economy, you don't want too much too fast because then the value of your currency drops, or so slow that your economy grounds to a halt. It's designed to be a self-stabilizing economy. Whether it actually is that way though, well, that is a little bit more complicated.
Because some people have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And, of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient.
And what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a currency on the internet.
I sent 100 euros worth of Bitcoin from here in Tokyo directly to you guys through this camera, through the network, through the TV, right into your home. If I had tried to do that, send you the money with a traditional bank, it would have taken several days and probably cost 30 euros. I just did it right now with Bitcoin instantly, basically for free, and didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I didn't need a bank, I didn't need a government, I didn't need anybody. I just needed myself and you and our smartphones to do it. That's the power of Bitcoin.
Offense received.
This community is switching to what they think is a better monetary system. A system in which banks are no longer needed because payments could be made directly from one person to another.
Bitcoin is fundamentally different because in Bitcoin, you don't owe anyone anything and no one owes you anything. It is not a system based on debt. It is a system based on ownership. And no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it.
It's November the 2nd, 2008, just 6 weeks after the Lehman Brothers collapse. And all over the world, there are panicked debates about how to save the banks. Then, on a little visited web forum for cryptographers, a document appears in which a completely new monetary system is proposed. The visionary author calls himself Satoshi Nakamoto.
These were the darkest days of the financial crisis. So that to me suggests a very clever mind that saw an opportunity, the perfect opportunity to introduce a new radical technology and a new radical approach to money and finance at just the right moment when people would be very open to making this big shift that's required to adopt a new currency.
What's exciting for me is like a global economy. Right now we say we have a global economy, but I can't take $1 and give it to you in the Netherlands and then you know what to do with it, right? You would have to go and change it to your native currency. And when you kind of eliminate that step and I can just send you one form of payment and you can send me a product in a matter of seconds, that starts to change things from a global perspective.
How could this digital coin invented by this Satoshi Nakamoto become hundreds of times more valuable than the dollar? And why do enthusiasts like Roger Fear want the world to switch to bitcoins?
I'm giving every single person here 1,000 yen worth of bitcoins, which is like $8 and something cents.
Back in the early days, you know, I'd get phone calls from my buddies. Oh, hey man, I lost 10,000 bitcoins because my computer blew up, right? Back then, one Bitcoin was less than a penny, right? So nobody cared. They lost $10. They don't care, right? And now 10,000 Bitcoins, that's, you know, $5 million. That's a big deal, right?
I think a lot of people are underestimating the way in which Bitcoin and the blockchain are going to change the power structures in society in general. I mean, I grew up in the US and I see all these people like, yeah, nuke everybody in the Middle East and kill them all. And then they have the former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, one of the most popular news shows in the US. And they asked her, they said, like, there's reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of US sanctions. And she looks back at her with a straight face and she goes, it was a really tough decision, but I think that it was worth it. Worth murdering 500,000 kids because of what the government did? And I apologize for crying, but it just disgusts me from my core when I see government people murdering people around the world. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. And it's real people, and Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world. And I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people in government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.
We're inside here at Clare Hall, one of the collegiate colleges at Cambridge University. I'm joined by Chandler Guo, one of the largest miners of Bitcoin in China. Chandler, thank you very much for joining us. How have you enjoyed today's experience?
I suggest that everyone go back to buy one Bitcoin. Not too much, only one is enough. If everyone in this world, people, just to go back buy one Bitcoin, you know, the Bitcoin value go to the $1 million. When the Bitcoin have $1 million, you know, all around the world will be crazy, and everyone will be the follow, and the other digital currency just to be, you know, be grandson of the Bitcoin. So for me, I think for a lot of people, they don't exactly understand why Bitcoin. The Bitcoin will be the great in the future, and the Bitcoin will be very, very expensive. And today, Bitcoin very cheap. I suggest today is not late. It's just $700. It's very cheap. Just go back and go to exchange, buy Bitcoin, just one, don't need too much.